Okay, so now we are going to move on to our ELA notebooks, and I'm going to be creating an anchor chart while you are writing in your ELA notebooks. Notice that the music is off. It was really intense in here. I had to turn it off, but there will be some more later. Now, you need your ELA notebooks, and I expect for you to have them open to a new page by the time I get to 0. I will start at 20, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, ELA notebooks need to be out. If you do not have them ready, then you know what you need to do. New page. So, what you're probably going to need to do, because I realize that I've already set this up, and it may take you a little bit longer to have some of this written down. If at any time you need to pause me, you can. AM block. Alyssa, if you're in there, can you take your notebook up to the front of the room and control the video? If it looks like you guys need to pause me, just go ahead and click pause. PM group, I would like Philip, take your notebook up to the front and work on this, but you're in charge of pausing the video if your class needs to, take a minute, okay? So first, we're starting off with punctuating titles. If you can't see this, I should have the chart posted in the classroom. Longer works versus shorter works. Longer works are books, magazines, newspapers, whereas shorter works, that would be something obviously that takes a shorter amount of time, such as a song, perhaps a chapter, poems perhaps. Don't worry if you didn't catch all of that. We'll write it down here. First, I'm going to go over the rules. So rules for longer works. Now remember, anything that I'm writing down here, you need to write down on your paper. If you're having a hard time seeing, move so you can see this anchor chart finished posted in the room. It should be up on the whiteboard. So rules for longer works. You underline if you're just handwriting. Notice how I'm underlining writing so you remember in your head, oh, I underline writing. The reason why we do this because italicizing is also an option. Let's write that down. Let's make sure I don't spell it wrong. That would be embarrassing. Italicize. I'm going to write the next word actually italicized. The next word is computer. The reason why you italicize on the computer more often than you would say italicize handwriting, it's tricky to purposely slant your writing. You're going to notice how tricky it is in a second. Some of you are going to find it easy. Yes, yes, yes. But overall, it's harder to italicize handwriting. So let's give it a go. It doesn't matter which way you slant it either. I think I did an okay job. You never italicize and underline. Don't do this. It's not a dance move. This looks silly. And so I continue to do it. If you need to do it, you can go ahead. But never italicize and underline at the same time. One or the other for the longer works. Take a minute. Get all that in. Hopefully you have this written down. Don't worry about making things pretty and putting the squiggly lines and the dots. Not what this is about. You can go back and do that. I just had time, so I went ahead and did it because you know that anchor charts are not my strong point. Rules. Now we go on to, we can go with examples because some of you are still not going to understand what longer actually means. And that's okay. This is new to us. So, an example of a longer word. I don't know if my computer just like turned black on you just now. I had to wiggle it awake. examples. This can be books, such as Harry Potter, magazines. I can't think of a magazine right now. Newspaper. If you're wondering what I'm looking at, I have a cheat sheet down below so I don't forget to say anything. Very interesting doing it on a webcam like this because I have to remind myself everything that I want to say, which I don't have to do in class. It's interesting. Newspaper, movies. So there we go. And I know it's going to be a little harder to see. Just look at my chart posted in the room. Okay? How are we doing? People who are in charge of pausing, feel free to pause me. Just don't pause me in one of those awkward positions where my face is doing something weird. Not cool. Not cool. Okay, I'm going to try to add down right here. We're going to put a sample. I'm going to get down on my knees so I can write. If you don't see me, bye. Oh, hey, right here. Hey, okay. Sample. So this is where we're just going to write essentially an example, but we have examples up here. Samples. So I want a sentence. Oh, I'm going to put a movie title in here. I wonder if you can guess what I'm going to use. I watched Iron Man last night. Since this is a title of a movie, I'm going to underline it because I'm writing. Turn to a partner and tell them what you would do if you were typing this out. Tell them. Whisper it. Don't get too loud. P and block, I know you're going to get too loud. I know how you work. Okay, you should have said italicize. You can italicize this if you were on the computer. Okay? You can't see my sample. Just look at the board. All right. I'm going to move on to shorter works now. Oh, look how fancy I'm getting with my different colored marker. Wahahaha. Obviously, we're going to start with rules. Now, if we underline or italicize longer works, think about what we potentially will do with shorter works. I'm giving you a second to think. That's what I'm doing. I'm not just randomly doing this. It's kind of like the awkward pauses in Dora the Explorer. You know how Dora will speak to the audience, pause, and say, "Yay, you got the right answer." That's what I'm doing. I'm being Dora. Okay, so you should be using quotation marks with shorter words. Use quotation marks. You put the quotation marks around the entire title. So I'm putting it around use quotation marks. You might be wondering, how am I going to remember that with shorter works I use quotation marks? I think that quotation marks are like little whiskers, and where is he? Capaldi is somewhere around here. He's a little guy. He's like this big. And I always think of quotation marks for little guys, like shorter works or little Capaldis. Whiskers. I know, it's silly. You can laugh at me. I realize I'm ridiculous, but you're gonna remember it. Okay. I'm gonna move on to examples now. Pause if you need to. Examples. If you're not sure what a shorter work is, it could be a chapter. It could be an article. An article could be like our passages that we used for our comparison chart, the election ones, tornadoes and earthquakes. Those are articles. They're not in a large book. I have to wiggle my computer again. It was starting to fall asleep. Okay, so articles, songs, poems. Those are some of the shorter works that you're mainly going to see in 5th grade. The older you get, the more and more these examples are going to expand. Like, you're going to realize that there's more things that you can underline and italicize and more things that you can put quotation marks around. But this is our prime focus right here. I'm going to get down again. Oh gosh, running into the tree. Okay. And let's see, let's go with our sample. Can anyone remember who my favorite author who wrote, past tense, wrote a lot of poems? Anybody? Talked about him at Halloween. Did any of you raise your hand? Did you all just call out like animals? Ariel, is your hand up? Do you remember who it is? If not, call on a friend. If so, yay! Gonna pause. Waiting. If you couldn't remember it, favorite author, Edgar Allan Poe. So I'm going to use him in my sample. Edgar. I just realized you guys better have gotten this right. I'm writing it down on the anchor chart, and the anchor chart is posted in the room. Context clues, people. Surely you looked at the board. Edgar Allan Poe wrote The Raven. Since it's a shorter work, I put little quotation mark. There we go. Take a moment. Get it all situated. I have to pull down the camera a little bit so you can see the very bottom. It's capitalization. There's a couple of rules we need to remember, so you're not just randomly throwing in capitals wherever you want to. 1, always. I am abbreviating cap. Always capitalize first and last. I don't know why I wrote 1 ST and then last. I should have done both of them. First and last words. 2, never cap A and V unless first word in a title. And then 3, no prepositions under 4 letters. Trying to cram all of these in there together. This is just a helpful guideline. Most of you already do this. If you don't, we can talk more about it when I get back to school. But right now, you should finish up this anchor chart, and when you all are done, you can go on to the next video. Thanks, you guys.